Hi guys, welcome back. Eric's UK here. A couple of days ago I posted a vid for 6 topics, or rather 6 tips for new GMs. Well, this is the promised follow-up, 6 tips for new players. Although this is for new players, I think these are actually tips that all players for role-playing games should probably get their heads around at the same time. Number 1 is know what your character can do. This one I think is probably common sense really. Whatever your character is from first level, whether it's 20th, you need to know the capabilities of your character. You should know how the feats you've taken work, how they interact. You should know the spells you've got, so you don't have to spend time constantly flicking through the books all the time. Make sure you know what your character is capable of, and it kind of helps speed the game up a little bit. Number 2, be a part of the game world. What I mean by that is know the setting. The GM is probably going to tell you the basics, might even give you a world document if it's their own game world. Actually take the time to read it, because there's nothing better in a role-playing game than being able to recognise locations and the route you're going to take, recognise names. It kind of makes you feel more into the game world. Pathfinder does this really, really well, especially if you play Pathfinder Society, because they're always throwing you into new corners of Golarion. It just kind of helps. It gives the GM a little bit of a boost at players actually paying attention to their game world, but it also gives you a bit more of a foothold in the world, and it makes your game feel a little bit more realistic. Number 3 is keep it simple, don't optimise. Optimisation is fairly standard in role-playing games these days. It's a bit different from when I first started. But there is a point where you are overdoing it, and it's fairly obvious when that is the case. My recommendation is create the character you want to play, but don't sort of push the limits too far. You might have a GM who's not capable of dealing with that just yet, or you may be part of a group that doesn't do that. It just kind of seems to me to be learn the game and then see how your group plays, and then if you want to play the optimised version of your characters, do so. But to start with, just try and keep your characters as simple as possible. Number 4, don't argue or be a rules lawyer. Arguing, we all have issues sometimes with the GM's decisions, but during the game is not the time to bring them up. Discuss this after the game, drop a polite email, make a polite phone call, chat over coffee or whatever, but don't start arguing in the middle of the game. It's not worth it. It just breaks the game, and it basically brings everybody back down again. Likewise, don't rules lawyer. Just because the rule book says X, Y and Z doesn't mean the GM can't tweak that if necessary, to make the game a little bit more personal and appropriate to the scenario they have. As long as they're consistent, it shouldn't be a problem. That's not to say that rules lawyers aren't bad. I used to have one in a group that I played with, and whenever I ran a game, if I couldn't think of a rule straight away, I could just look to this person and they'd know it, or they could look it up for me. But in general, being a rules lawyer and arguing these sort of issues is not healthy for the game. Number 5 is pay attention. We all have short attention spans. I think I do it as well. I'm one of these people that has to kind of like check my phone and whatnot when I'm not doing anything. But when the GM is talking, when there's something going on, everybody should be quiet and everybody should be paying attention to what's being said and what's happening to all the other players. If they're in the middle of combat, pay attention to what's happening, because you're going to have to make that decision, and you don't want to sit there on your turn and go Be working stuff out as it's going along. Pay attention to the game, pay attention to the GM. And number 6, give feedback. I suggested this for GMs in the last video, and I say the same thing here. If you really liked something or didn't like something, drop your GM an email or again a phone call and just say, hey Bob, this worked really, really well, or didn't really enjoy this sort of plot sort of thing, and it helps the GM craft the scenarios and their campaigns better. That's my 6 topics for players new to RPGs. If you have any agreements, disagreements, or even some extra ideas of your own, either do a response vid or drop them in the comments below, and we'll see if we can get this discussion going. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care and good gaming.